Yeah, I am the Rainy Forge. It's more than just a business to me. It's a lifestyle. It's part of who I am. It's my face that I show to the world. All right, well, so I'm Elias. I am the owner and bladesmith here at the Rainy Forge. I'm the one who basically does everything. I make the knives, I make the handles, I do all the leather work. So the Rainy Forge name came into existence back when I first got started forging. Back when it was a hobby and not a business yet. I was out in my backyard with my first ever forge that was just out in the open, exposed to the elements. And I'd be out there working, hammering on some steel after school, and I would see dark clouds rolling in, and the sky would just turn black, and it would just start pouring rain. But I'm here working with like a 2,000 plus degree forge, and the rain ain't gonna put that out anytime soon. So I was just like, well, I don't mind getting a little wet. It'll cool me down actually. So I just kept working, finished on what I was doing. And it was probably about the third time that happened. Came inside just soaking wet, and the name, the Rainy Forge, just kind of hit me. And I took the name and I just ran with it. I've always had this drive to learn more about the world and how things work. I also, as many kids of my generation, was a big video game player when I was younger. So I was just playing this one game and had like a makeshift machete in the game, and I decided that was something that I wanted to make. So little 13-year-old me went down to my basement, my dad's workbench, and I had like this piece of fence post that I found in the backyard, so I just hammered it flat and ground the rough shape of a machete and had like a wood duct tape wrap handle on the thing. And I went out into my backyard and I hit a tree with it as hard as I could, and of course it just, bent in half. And so I thought to myself, well, that was a lot of fun. Now, how do I do that the right way? And so 14 years later, now I'm making knives the right way. So in the knife making world, it's all about design and aesthetics. How you like how things look, how a knife feels in your hand, different colors that you use with the handle, the different finishes that you give to a blade, whether you have just a perfectly factory mirror polished knife, or you have more like what I do and have a beautiful home line on that knife. For me, I've always been interested in historical knives. I've always been interested in knives that, were around in the 1800s or back in the medieval era. So I like to bring a lot of those old school designs and aesthetics kind of to a modern audience with modern materials and modern techniques. To me, heritage is super important. Who we are is so dependent on our ancestors and where we came from, and it's how you're raised. Some of my fondest memories are growing up with my Okinawan grandmother making my sister and I ramen noodles when we were a kid. We're doing a full spread of Japanese food. So it's not only something that means a lot to me as a person, but in my art, it gives me kind of a basis. It gives me a grounding where I just love the aesthetic of Japanese style knives, or likewise the aesthetic and the artistic appeal of Irish culture with Celtic knotwork and different Celtic motifs and patterns. I love to incorporate that into my work and kind of blend some things together and fuse things together. Hamon lines are very Japanese, but I'll put a Hamon line on like a Celtic style knife. It just adds this cool layer of, ooh, I like that, I've never seen that before. And that's really a drive for me, is to put a knife out there into the world on the internet and have someone see it and be like, ooh, I like that, I've never seen anything like that before. So I do all of my own leather work, and it was something that when I started making knives, I knew that I had to make some kind of a sheath to go with the knife. If I'm selling at a festival and you buy a knife from me, you don't want to walk around a festival with just an open blade. Obviously, that's a bit of an issue. And when I started selling things online as well, it's a lot easier to ship a knife if it comes with a sheath than it is to try and put cardboard over the blade and tape it up and wrap it so it doesn't poke through the box. And so as I grew in my knife making skills, I also grew as a leather worker, and I just absolutely fell in love with leatherwork and doing leatherwork. It's such a different skill set than making knives. There's such a contrast that it was an aspect of my business that I could latch onto, and an aspect of me as an artist that I could latch onto as a new medium, as something to further grow and show off my artistic ability and aesthetic. You can find me at theRainyForgeBlacksmithy.com. You can also see all of my stuff listed over on Etsy, and links to all of my social media will be found in the description below. So thanks again for watching.